So it was a sunny Friday afternoon in late June of 2018. And we'd been talking for a few months as a church about starting to save up and purchase our own church building at some point. But really, we'd been longing for this for several years at this point. And I got a phone call out of nowhere from somebody who identified himself as Dan Carruthers, the deacon chair at Bethel Baptist Church in Fruitport.
Early in February 2018, we asked our pastor at the time, Lee Coggins, to be our interim pastor. He began by assessing our church. He then called with a meeting with the deacons and informed us that we could no longer go forward due to insufficient finances and an elder membership and building which needed a lot of repairs. The deacons asked me to study and come up with a plan that may solve all these problems. The best I could do was to suggest find another church that agreed with us and who needed a building. One of the members told us that Calvary was looking for a building, and it sounded like an awesome idea to me. I had never been to Calvary, but some of the other guys had been, and they were all for the idea. So I did some online study and looked at how they presented themselves, how they managed the church. They had a elder way of doing church, which I think is really biblical. I'm surprised that we made it this long without it. We are a lot stronger if we have different voices in management, especially in a church. So we decided that would be a good idea. I contacted Pastor Keith.
And I had never met Dan before. I knew maybe one person from Bethel. And so it was so out of the blue, not totally unexpected. And the conversation goes on, he basically just said, yeah, so we're wondering that is if our church decided to give Calvary the church building, we heard you were looking for one. We're wondering if you would accept that and move to our location. And I was just stunned because I've heard of these things happening before. I'd heard of churches giving other churches buildings and God just working in kingdom ways like that to keep churches going. And but while I knew that was a possibility that could happen, we'd even mentioned that in some of our church meetings. That it spread the word. You never know what God can do, and there could be a church that would just be a great fit for Calvary. And so we were thinking and praying about that, but I hadn't heard anything about it until I got this phone call out of the blue. So I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. I basically just said, I think we'd be interested. I'd have to talk to the elder team about that. And so I told him I'd call him back as soon as possible. And I had been sitting in our bedroom during this conversation, and Emily was out cleaning the house. And so I went out to tell Emily what happened.
So I was just out vacuuming the house, and Keith comes out, and he's talking to me, and I'm halfway listening. And then he gets to the point of, yeah, and they said they want to give us their church building. And I was like, whoop, turn off the vacuum. What was that? And so we were just like really ecstatic, like, oh my gosh, how could that, like, this is crazy. So we called Pastor Jeremy right away, and we said, sit down. We have some news for you. I think he thought we might have been pregnant or something, but we were not pregnant. And so we tried to contain our excitement, and we waited for like 2 hours before we loaded up all the kids in the car and drove out here to the building. And we drove around the building, and we actually sat out in the parking lot and prayed with the kids, kind of explained like what was going on, and prayed with them to see what was going to happen. So it was very exciting.
And it was so early. Obviously, it was like day one of the conversation. And so After I talked to Emily and we talked to Jeremy, I talked to the whole elder team and just kind of got their feedback, and they were all like, "Yeah, let's talk to Bethel about this. Let's keep that conversation going. Let's meet up with them." So I think within I called Dan back and we set up a time to meet. Within the week, I think we were sitting down. Calvary's elder team was sitting down with Bethel's deacon team and just kind of hearing where their church was and what they were going through and what they were thinking, and they knew it would be a long process, and so we just expressed interest in the facility and in talking to their church at some point if that was going to be helpful for the process. But we were just really excited about the possibility and very grateful that they reached out to us. So after that initial meeting, many of the staff members, elders, deacon teams all had a chance to walk through the building. And in fact, some of us even had a chance to attend one of Bethel's services on a Sunday morning, just to introduce ourselves, start getting to know some of the people from Bethel. This was before their vote, just to explain to them what Calvary was all about, and so they could start meeting us. And those were great opportunities to build relationships with many of those folks. And then between the day of Bethel's vote and our vote, we even had the chance to bring the whole Calvary family through, which is really exciting to enable them to see the building as well. What was really fun though was hearing the news of when Bethel voted.
After we had met and done all the talking, we voted, and our church, all except for 2 members, approved the plan that we had to give it to Calvary. We thought that it was God's will that we do this. Wasn't the fact nobody felt like a real ownership in the building. They wanted to see it used.
Well, Calvary members voted, and you voted to receive the extravagant gift from Bethel Baptist Church. 128 to 0. That's wonderful unity. That's wonderful unity, and that's God-wrought unity. We're following Jesus in this, so let's stay humble, let's stay patient. There's a lot of work ahead of us. Calvary voted a couple weeks after that, and I don't think we had any no votes. The whole church was very excited about this possibility. We recognized it really was a gift of God. It was something we'd been praying about, and He provided in a big way. And so here we are.
Back in about October of 2018, a group of us sat down and decided that we would lead the charge to raise $100,000 by the first of the year, and that would help cover the cost of just getting us in the building and the things that needed to be done before we moved in. We came up with that $100,000 by the first week of January, which blew my mind. And so we had that money that we had sought out to raise. Then came another charge, and that was to make this building accessible to everyone, which meant we needed an elevator.
When Keith asked me to take on the project of getting this church ready for us to move into, I just said yes, didn't even think about it, and it turned into be quite a project. But I am just so happy that we had so many people step in and help, from packing and moving over here to cleaning to all the painting. Everybody who just selfishly gave their time and effort to clean and paint and move in, and then when we decided that we needed an elevator, that was a project that took some time and research, and everybody stepped up with giving extra so we could have this elevator installed, paid for, under budget, which we really liked.
The thing that sticks out most in my memory was when a church member had offered to do a matching funds campaign of $3,000. And I sent an email to Sarah Evans about the second week of January. And I said, hey, do you have the numbers for last Sunday's giving? I just wanted to see if we met that 3,000 mark for the matching funds campaign. And she said, we brought in $14,000 last Sunday. And that wasn't even counting the matching funds. Like, my mind was blown.
I'd just like to tell a quick little story of when the elevator was ready to use, the first time that somebody other than the elevator people went up and down in it. And Owen was here, and Cody was here from McNally Elevator. They just had the final inspection, and Cody showed Owen how to use the elevator, and they talked a little bit about it, and they took a ride up and down on it. And Cody even got a little tear in his eyes, and after it was all said and done, he told me that he'd never felt this way before. He's installed hundreds and hundreds of elevators. It's never felt this way before, and he had tears in his eyes. And that was just kind of a nice thing for us to do here in our church. So again, I appreciate everybody that helped on this whole project.
Then the next monumental memory for me was emailing Keith. Actually, it was a response from Keith about a fundraising campaign that I had suggested. And he said, you know what, we're good. We've got the elevator money. We've got some money set aside. And for now, we're good. And it was really something to be a part of. God is very good.
I'm just so proud of everybody here in this church. And you know, when I say thank you from the bottom of my heart, we couldn't have done it without everybody, from the people that prayed, the people that gave extra, the people that came here and worked. It was just an absolute awesome thing for us.
I'm James Bean, member here at Calvary for many years now, and I love looking back at the journey we've taken. We originally started attending Calvary, my wife and I, charity at the Kendra location, and to watch how God worked, moving us through a difficult situation there, to searching for where we might go, and then finding a great location in North Muskegon, and several years spending time there building relationships, and watching God move us again to another neat venue at sharing a church location with First Baptist Church, and how what that did to show us, I guess, how God provides for us in a way that is outside any particular walls. And to watch folks that stayed with Calvary through those moves was just a real testament to the core body that exists here that calls Calvary home, and eventually to lead us here. What a great opportunity. I know I heard Pastor Keith share before how we were praying for funds to build a building or funds to do something dramatic, and then God presented us with something that was beyond what we would have prayed for or hoped for, being here at this building. So it's been a neat journey.
So one of the things I really tried to emphasize in my own mind, and hopefully we emphasized throughout the whole church, throughout our entire process, is that the church is not a building. The church is a people, it's a ministry, it's a disciple-making movement. It's a family that's on mission together for Jesus, for His glory, for the good of the community. And so we really tried to emphasize that all throughout. The building is important. It's a tool, especially in our culture. And so we really tried to emphasize that. So we're just so grateful to be able to have this amazing resource here at 213 Oak Street. And we're really excited to think of this place as both a landing pad for people in the community who are hurting, who feel guilt or shame in their lives, people who are come from broken places to find God's family and to find His forgiveness and healing. But we're also excited to think of this as a launching pad where we're sent out, we're trained and sent out into our community to make disciples of Jesus. And so ultimately this building, as amazing of a resource it is brought to life by the people that make use of it, and the people that gather within it, and the people that scatter away from it every single week, which is you, the Calvary family. So let's continue to stay on mission, to become a church for the community.
We can only pray that from now on, that God would join our two families and take the vision forward that we might affect the world for Him.